Yeah, it's busy setting up the meeting. We should be live in a few seconds. Brilliant, brilliant. It's very important to go with that pressure, and what comes up, whether it's connected or not, it doesn't matter. It's always connected in some way or another. It's amazing when you share what comes up. It's really incredible. Really amazing. Really amazing. All right, we are live. We are live. All right, brilliant. Take it away, Sher. Take it away.
Okay. Well, okay. So first, thank you for coming to the reading and discussion of my book, Unbound, 100 Days of Intent. And what I wanted to do today was read from chapter 2. However, it is kind of lengthy. So what I've done is I've selected very specific letters to read for specific purpose. Um, One of those purposes being is in our inner work, one thing I have found is on my journey is that healing my inner child is crucial. That's where my core wound existed, or exists, I should say. And so when we write letters, part of the healing journey for part of your inner work is a practice is writing letters to yourself as a child, and to people in your life that you either loved deeply and appreciated, or those that you held resentments towards. Um, this is a very effective exercise. Number one, for the writing part of it, it's extremely cathartic, but then also it just really allows those resentments to resolve themselves. When you are writing, then you start to understand who they are as a person. And that was one of the key turning points for me in my journey, was being able to understand. um, I always asked why my parents treated me the way they did. And I learned how not to ask why, but instead I came from the perspective of what, you know, who were they and what had they gone through. That allowed for a whole lot of healing, which I know of in the world of sexual abuse and domestic violence. You know, you want to be angry with your abuser. And I was, but I was also deeply moved the moment that I was able to release that anger, and with compassion and understanding, release the resentment towards my father and my mother and my other abusers. It was a big moment. So, what I started with was a letter to myself, and that's where I'm going to begin today, chapter 2, and it's called Letters. Jerry, while working on the edits in this journal, it came to me there was one important person I forgot to mention. What was missing was my letter to you, my darling inner child. The whole purpose of this book is to heal from the insane lifestyle that you lived. But not as a child. You were treated as though you were born directly into adulthood. What started as an effort to reclaim personal power turned into a healing tool for others. You helped me find meaning in my life. Thank you, Sherry. I've done the work that was needed for us to reintegrate with you, little one, to allow you the peace you deserve. It's time for your pain to end and for you to rest. Half my life has been spent reading best selling self help books, viewing hours of videos, sitting through thousands of hours in therapy, lost in months of inpatient treatment, thousands of pills for psychological and medical diagnosis, consuming more alcohol than was necessary, and suffering through surgeries because of the abuse I put our body through, all to keep you safe. Was that really keeping you safe? No, it wasn't. And I'm sorry for not taking care of you, my little one. I'm sorry that as your adult self, it was me that kept you quiet because I bought into the lies told to me. The lie that how you were treated didn't matter. There were always rules to follow about what to lie about, what to say, not to say. I'm coming into the awareness that those rules set you to grow with anxiety and self doubt, never trusting the truth. Not once did I let you speak. your feelings, your thoughts. I controlled those, just as you were controlled by our parents when you were so little.
Mm.
Little one, it's so hard to remember exactly when all abuse began. There's only bits and pieces, and it takes a lot of effort to put all the images together on a timeline. Some memories are quite vivid, like they happened yesterday. The more you stir in me, the more that returns to my memory. It's important for me to remember as much as possible so you feel secure and safe, and to know you were never going to be placed in any of those situations again.
Mm.
There are good things I remember about you when you were alone or spent time with your grandparents. Music was a magical journey into a place other than where you were. When you asked if you could play the violin because you loved the sound, you were told no because you weren't smart enough. So you gave up. As an adult now, the desire to play the violin or learn the mandolin is as strong as ever. You did have fun as a child, riding on the back of your brother's bike, hanging on with all your strength so you wouldn't fall off the seat. A favorite show was the Mickey Mouse Club, and you enjoyed Warner Brothers cartoons that your babysitter let you and your brother watch. Cartoons weren't allowed in the parents' home, so it was a very special treat to watch these. I remember a few of your favorite toys. The iron horse with the broken tail that you held too tight until you wore the color right off, exposing the green nature of the metal. The record player with all your favorite songs from the movies you never got to see, but you knew all those songs by heart. The songs are still in my heart, Sherry. I sang some of them to my children when they were little, and now our grandson watches the movies and musicals you were denied seeing as a child. Something else you loved, the pretty glass-like Cinderella slippers that Nani gave you. They were plastic, but they clicked and sparkled like glass when you walked across the floor, just like the grown-up ladies' shoes did. The way your little toes showed through the ends of the shoe was just like Cinderella slippers. That's where that name came from. You always called them Cinderella slippers.
Mm.
You didn't have an easy time making friends, shy of other kids after you were made fun of when your mom put you in diapers to go to school. You'd walk slowly so no one would notice the bulk under your snow pants, but it still showed.
Mm.
My heart breaks for you, little one. I'm sorry you were so humiliated in that way. Your new sisters were fun to be around. Although, like other kids you wanted to play with, you didn't seem to quite fit in with them. Everyone told you to stop being so serious and be a kid. Funny, I say that to my grandson now. Inner pain has a strange way of taming the wild in us.
Mm.
Do you remember how much you loved to sing? The fantasy you had of being a singer on stage one day, far away from anyone, and no one could tell you to stop making noise? Your favorite song to sing was La La Lou from Lady and the Tramp. Peggy Lee's voice is so soothing, even in this moment. Whenever I listen to those songs, tears pool in my eyes, and my throat holds back my words from forming. Sorry.
No problem.
I'm sorry you were so alone, little one. You rocked yourself to sleep, played alone. Brother played with you outside when he was in the mood. You did the best you could for your mother. Sherry, you were so little, and you tried to follow all her rules and never make a fuss around her.
Mm.
The massive amount of rules she demanded to be observed was overwhelming. You only wanted to please her so she wouldn't be so mad at you all the time. I'm especially sorry you had to hear those words that she said to you, the names she called you. I believe she loved you, but she just didn't know how to show it. She was hurt too and didn't know how to express it. We'll never know why, but she had to have loved you. And then you learned how to lie from the adults responsible for you. You were in the very adult world of lies. These weren't the small lies kids tell if they break something and are afraid to tell the truth. These were lies not even adults ought to know. They had no business putting you in the position you were in. I'm sorry you had to move through their world as rapidly as you did, growing from infant to adult at less than 3 years old. You are safe. I hear everything you have to say. I see all the memories that you don't need to see anymore. I'm learning to play, to have fun, the fun we were meant to have as a child. I'm learning to feel again and allowing all those cold, hard feelings you held within come out and pass on. I've got this now, little one. It's your turn to smile, to laugh, sing, and dance freely. I love you, Sherry. The segment ends with asking what you would say to your inner child. And it's interesting. I can go back and read that letter time and time again, and I still get very emotional about it.
Excellent.
Because it feels like inner child wounds. You know, our journey never ends. We don't always fully heal, and you just do the best you can, the very best you can. There is a Hawaiian prayer, and I have a terrible time pronouncing the name. Somebody else might be really good at it. It's Ho'oponopono. But the prayer goes like this, and I say this frequently to myself and my inner child. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you.
That's powerful.
Okay. The next letter I've chosen is a.
You asked what we'd say to our inner child.
What's
I'd
that?
say you asked what we'd say to our inner child.
Yes.
And I'd say we can learn, we can change, and this too shall pass.
Yes. I do believe that.
And learn. We will learn.
I do believe that. I have been doing that. I mean, just relentlessly. I have been keeping that thought in my mind that, you know, can learn, and I am learning.
Yes, I have learned, I will learn, I can learn, or at least other way, have learned,
Yes.
can learn, will learn.
Yes.
Very powerful. Very, very powerful. It's a self-proving thing. If I
Yes.
have learned, it means I absolutely can learn. We need to remember that. Really, really focus on that. So yeah, I really have learned. Really bring it fully into consciousness. Own it, acknowledge it fully. I have learned, not like I have learned. No, I have learned means I can learn. Yeah, oh yeah, I can. Oh, what does that mean? Means I will learn. Hell yes, I will learn. Yes, I will
Yes.
learn. And I love learning. That's the part for the inner child. You love learning. We're gonna learn more. Yay! Yay! Right?
Yes. I
Gonna learn
believe
more.
that. I really
I
do.
mean, look at the joy in your face of learning. It's there. It's there. It's there. It's there. That
Yeah.
joy of learning. It infuses you. It's fantastic. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
And learning to remember the parts of my childhood that brought me joy, like those Cinderella slippers, and my horse, which ironically, CJ now owns. It looks almost identical to that horse that I had as a kid, and it was his grandpa's.
Yeah.
Larry had it in his things, an iron horse, just like the one I had, except the tail is intact.
And that's a thing for me. I like to tell and remind my inner child. Remember that play? That play was learning. It's one and the same. One and the same. When we associate the two and we understand that play is magical learning.
That is
Hell
so
yeah.
true.
I want to play because it's magical learning. It's the
Yes,
same
it
thing.
is.
Very important. Very, very, very important to really own that, entrench it, lock it in. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
And
Beautiful.
just because the letter to myself, I mean, I speak to my inner child regularly. It's just a practice you develop after a bit. And it's part of your learning process, part of your growing, so that you can heal inwardly, anyways, and release a lot of those memories. But I also like to look to the heroes in my life,
Mm.
and the people that bring you joy and that believed in you as a child. And one of those was my grandfather.
Mm.
I think it was because of him that I just didn't hate men altogether,
Mm. Mm.
because
Mm. Excellent.
he was just a very important part of my life. So I wrote a letter to him, and to kind of help lift some of this. Let's
Yes,
read that.
brilliant. Balance, balance, capital B, balance. So
Yes,
essential. So essential. Another thing to remind the inner child of
balance. Yes, that's
balance,
why it's important for
balance,
me to remember
balance.
that play and the
Yeah,
and the times, the things that I did love to do, which was write
yeah,
and read and bike and swim and all of those.
yes,
So
yes. So would you say
right.
to your inner child, there's more to the world than your world?
Yes, that is
This is
that
what you're
is
going to hear in the letter to the grandfather. There's more than that local world that we only
yes.
see. There's more.
And actually, that's part of what's in the letter. Ironically, that you even mentioned that. So
Oh, I didn't remember that. Okay, just you're pulling it from me. That's
here we
brilliant
go.
achievement.
Okay, so I called my grandfather Pop. My grandparents we called them Nani and Pop.
Mm.
This is to Pop. I wish, I wish that I could have told you when you were on Earth exactly what a hero was to me. You were and are my definition of a hero. Rough around the edges, with the heart of a spirit warrior, like me. You taught me well, Pop, about life. You were the only one who showed me unconditional love before I knew what that meant. The knowledge you weren't my blood grandfather wasn't shared with me until years later, but through my eyes, it didn't matter. You loved me. You always showed me respect. You spoke to me and hugged me without condition or expectations in return. No other adult did that. The afternoon coffee shop visits for cocoa and coffee and a glazed donut, long chats about school life, imparting your wisdom to me about how to get along there and keep some dignity. Those coffee shop chats helped me learn how to add faster, how to order from a restaurant, why we tip waitresses, and the importance of manners. The stories you shared about being a Marine and what you did in the war and how the city has changed kept me on the hook, wanting to know more of your amazing world. I learned to appreciate our men in uniform because of you and the pride you held in serving our country. You showed me what pride is when you would introduce me in the coffee shop, saying, "This is my granddaughter," and smiled while you placed your big hand on my shoulder. Everything you did for me was a lesson in something. The chats while helping you in the vegetable garden, teaching me values in life through growing tomatoes and fruit trees. The long rides around town, showing me how to find my way home if I got lost. Listening to me tell you about my troubles with math and you helping me by counting rubber bands, paper clips, and other magical items you would always just happen to have handy in your pockets. You smiled great big smiles every time I would put on a dance show like the dancers on Lawrence Welk did. And we'd laugh every time. He would always say, "And a one, and a two, and a three." Then we'd pop our mouths and make the champagne bottle sound. These are precious memories to me. Were you aware of the influence you had over me in the areas of academics, the arts, our country, and appreciation for what we have in our life? You weren't religious, and I appreciated you for that. You didn't like that I was having to go to a Catholic school, and your dislike felt like sweet validation each time you told Nani, Let her be a kid, chick. I always knew you had my back, no matter what, because of our loyalty to one another. You told me to always be true to myself, and how proud you were that I learned what truth is. Your strong belief in me was empowering, especially when you recognized and accepted me for just being me. You heard me tell you about my troubles in school. You never once told me, suck it up. You just listened. And you said, keep being true to yourself. You were the first to accept me unconditionally. Awkward, skinny, shy Sherry. Pop, you'd be so proud of your grandchildren and great grandchildren. The same lessons you taught me and the times they spent in the garden with you gave them the same memory of the man you were, the hero to each of us. You were the one to tell me, I am proud of you. You were proud when I made my break from the house, from the abuse, sorry. We all made it, Pop. And while I still struggle with healing, you were always in my heart and my head, whispering to me, keep going. I love you, Pop. My only wish is that I would have modeled my life more like yours. But then, would I be learning now what you taught me then? Or would I know how to be my own hero? I miss you, Pop. The quote that I wrote to him was, heroes are unafraid to be authentic and vulnerable.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like in
Powerful.
many ways, I've become a lot of my own hero.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Yeah.
That's a quote from. I don't remember many quotes, but that one I sort of remember, at least the paraphrase. Somebody asked Danica Patrick, "Who's your hero?" She says, "I'd like to think I'm my own hero."
Ah, there we go.
Yeah,
There we
I
go.
thought that was wonderful. That was
Yeah.
wonderful, especially for somebody who's a pioneer. And when we're on our own journeys, we're all pioneers because
Yes.
our journey is unique and individual. Yeah,
Yes.
fantastic.
The rest of the letters, I mean, I can go through one or two more, but the rest of the letters are, except for the one to my brother, they were written with intention of understanding who they were as people.
Brilliant, brilliant.
The other one that
And
I have, the last one I wanted to read was to my grandmother.
mm,
She was, my grandmother was a very amazing, elegant woman. Um, I don't know a lot about her or about her story other than that she and her sisters, well, they each had, I think, just the one child, um, raised in the war, during the wartime, of course. But
mm.
she was a very fiercely proud and private woman.
Sure.
Yeah.
Before you read, we have a
Mhm.
question from somebody in the group. Carrie
Yes.
Sue is asking, is beginning to journal or write things down important in healing moving forward?
Yes. Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
I still write every day, whether it's just for my book, for a poster, just my own thoughts. I write all the time. And as far as like when you're starting to journal, it doesn't matter how you do it. And we talked about this last time. You write ugly and edit pretty. And honestly,
There
when
you
it
go.
comes to journaling, I don't even edit. I
Yeah.
just write
Doesn't matter.
whatever my thoughts are, whatever my feelings are.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Because
It
once you
is.
do write it and then you can read it back to yourself, you're actually putting it out there into the universe. And it's like, it's there.
Exactly. Exactly. And what would you say, from way of impeccability, that was always our theme, clarity of intent. So,
Yes.
what was your intent with the journaling? This is very important. Very, very important to be
Yeah.
aware of what your intent is. So I'm keen to hear what your personal intent is. It's going to be different for different people. But what was yours?
Yeah.
Sir?
When I actually, my intent has changed. When I started writing, it was with the intent to heal. It was with the intent to write out my story and put a timeline to it because it was so scattered and fractured.
Mm, mm,
Um, and I needed to have, exactly as you said, I had to have some clarity to
mm,
what all my life meant and what all these feelings were.
mm,
Then later I started writing for feeling because I realized
mm,
I could write everything and I could talk about it, but I was so detached,
mm, mm,
completely
mm,
detached from emotions,
mm, mm,
um, frequently disassociating.
mm.
So writing then at that point turned into an exercise in how to feel because I had to go back through.
Exactly.
Yes,
Exactly.
I had to
Exactly.
go back through and actually start feeling what I was writing, not just acknowledging it,
Yes.
but I had to
Yes.
go through and
Yes.
feel
Exactly.
the
Exactly.
hurt. And that's
Exactly.
why, like the child in my inner letter, when I first wrote it, it was a few lines, and maybe it was 2 paragraphs total. It was
Yeah.
originally the very first time. I'm really sorry that this happened. I understand it was a lot of pain, yada, yada. I didn't feel it,
Yeah.
did not feel it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then when I
Carry
went
suit.
back and
Oh,
I wrote and rewrote it, I started to feel it. And so now when I read it, the emotions are there.
there you go. There you go. You release and you get perspective when you see it back. And then you can integrate, you can make peace with it, you can understand, you look at it from multiple angles. All of that you're constantly, repeatedly doing. And this is how you get that healing through
Yes,
being able to integrate it and assimilate it and make peace with it. Very important.
right. Well,
So
see,
I
and
would
that's
like to,
why,
oh, go ahead, go ahead.
well, I was
Go ahead.
going to say, that's why, yes, I do put journal prompts in here after every story. And
Yeah,
that's, not to answer the question to what you just read, but to answer the question for yourself. And don't
exactly.
answer it ever just once. You can
Exactly.
never answer a question just once,
Never,
especially when it
never.
comes to your internal feelings.
Yes, yes.
Like what would you say to your inner child? Well, you can ask that question every
Right,
day for
right,
multiple times in a day,
right.
especially for every situation you've come through. Because
Yeah,
many times, if you start to, like,
yeah,
say for shame, if you start to feel a feeling of
yeah,
shame come up within you, like yesterday when I passed the mirror and I finally stopped myself and made myself look because I have a lot of body shame that I'm working on getting rid of. And I made myself just stand there and look. And then I decided, you know what? I'm going to take this even further and I'm going to
mm,
start talking to
exactly,
my inner child openly. And I
exactly,
did.
exactly, exactly. A key point here.
Hmm.
So Carrie Sue's also asking, she says, thank you very much. But she's also asking, how do you know where to even begin? How far back in your life? So I want to just elaborate on that real quick. There's
Hmm.
no
Please do.
beginning, there's no start. And
Right.
just write whatever has a pressure in you, whatever
Yes.
comes up. Yes, important. Typically, those are memories of memorable events or significant experiences. I've written a lot about this. It's a big
Yes.
deal. So allow the memorable event to come up. This is very key, though. And do not believe that you remember everything about that event. Just
True.
know that you're not going to remember. The trick here is to immerse into that memorable event, that significant experience, that power memory. Get right inside it and start writing just about it and write in detail. Write what you smelt, what you felt, what you saw, like every little detail. And then through that emphasis, you enlarge the nodes in your brain, and suddenly you start connecting to things that you never even realized that you had remembered. Wow, I didn't remember that. Wow, I didn't remember that. And then you inside that memory and you start to relive it. Just write, 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 write. Let it go and let it flow again. Write ugly, stream of consciousness. Just let it come. But you're going to discover that you're going to connect to more things than you ever thought you knew about that event. Because here's the key, you are connecting to the me of then with the me of now.
Hmm.
Two different people, right? When you're writing with the me of now, you understand things. You have words, you have language that you didn't have then. Some of it you did understand then, but you weren't able to express. Now you can. And that's a magical act. Finding a voice to the you of then that you got it, that understood, but didn't have the vocabulary to express it, didn't have the thoughts, the feelings. Now you can. And this is a very, very, very magical process. Very big deal.
That's
We can go
what,
into it separately and in on group and all this if people want to know more about it, but that's the core essence of it. And one
mhm.
more key little point, Sue, sure, sorry, it is also when you're journaling, just in general, write the journey of your learning, the journey of your understanding. If
Yes.
you listen to Sher's story, this is what she's sharing with you. She's not sharing what happened. Those are your details. You're not saying this, I went to the beach, we were connected. No, I learned this, I experienced this, I felt this was a problem for me, this I didn't get, this I didn't understand, this stressed me, this I resolved, this I understood. It is the journey of your awareness and your learning. This is what you want to write down. And of course, how you felt, how your feelings changed, how you process those feelings. It all has to connect to the feelings too, not just your thinking. So all of you. But that's it. That's the
Yes.
journey of your learning and your awareness. Right? Right, Sher?
Yes, yes, exactly. And that's why in the forward that I wrote, I explained what the 100 days of intent is.
Exactly.
I've even got a challenge that I'm trying to get people to start in on. But
Nice,
yeah,
nice, nice.
but
You're more
but
than
the
welcome to do it in group. Get
yes,
people say we're gonna start. Let's say February, whatever, some date,
yeah,
whatever. Set a date, and then say we're gonna do this 100 days of intent. And
yes,
more than welcome to do it in group. More than
yeah.
welcome. It's a
And
profound
the 100 days
exercise.
of
It's very
intent
powerful.
was I set myself and actually it just worked out. It was actually like 90 some odd days. So I just called it 100 days of intent.
Nice,
But it
nice,
was
nice.
all the process of rewriting. It was during
Yeah,
the editing when I wrote my story. I was like, okay, there's more here.
yes,
And
yes,
I was taking
yes.
that
I
cue from you.
remember.
You were
I
always
remember.
telling me there's always more. And it's like,
It's
no,
always more.
there's not. I mean, it's like I'm writing everything as it was. And it's like, I found that more.
Yeah.
So, and
Yes,
every day
yes,
I can go back
yes.
and read these stories
Yeah.
and I still find
Yes.
even more.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
You are going to be blown away when you really immerse into
Yes.
those memorable events and significant experiences. And now you don't have to journal your past. You can journal what's going on now.
I
And
do
when
that.
you do, you'll discover there's always more. There's
Yes.
layer upon layer upon layer. Don't believe that you've gotten everything out of something. Don't ever believe that, because there's always more. You'll probably hear I say this over and over and over because it's so true. It's a
It's true.
powerful thing.
It is
There's
so
always
true.
more, always
So
more,
true.
always more. Yeah.
All right.
Yes, it has. Carrie Sue asked, by doing this, has it helped change your inner dialogue? I'm more than
My
happy to
goodness,
speak on
yes.
Sher's behalf.
Oh my goodness, has it ever. Phil has got videos from my very first days with him. And I'm telling you what, I came in, I remember my first session with him, I was excited, but I was scared. And at the same time, I was afraid to use my voice. I was afraid to use my words. I was afraid to
Yes,
ask
yes,
questions.
yes,
I felt like, oh my gosh, I don't understand
yes,
any of this.
yes,
None of
yes,
it.
yes.
Now, I mean, yesterday, let me tell you how much has changed.
Sure has power in her voice now.
Yeah,
Because of
yesterday,
that, you've
for
proven
the
it to you.
first time ever, I mean, I don't show, I have been so embarrassed and so ashamed of my bodies that all my selfies are from shoulders up. Okay. There might be one or two out there full body. Yesterday, I want to tell you how much confidence I got. I am a plus size woman, and I finally did a full length mirror video of me talking to myself,
Power,
adult child to
power.
inner child.
Yes, yes,
That is
yes,
definitely changing your inner
yes,
dialogue.
yes. Own the
I,
power, own the
yeah,
power. Yeah.
I felt, I felt I got through that threshold where I was tired of feeling shame. And I got to tell you, shame weighs probably a ton, if not more. And you get up the next day and you just go, huh, wow, I can move some shoulders here now, and you can own this. And it's okay because this body, it's a vessel, it's a very sacred vessel, and it does house energy, but it houses something more important. That a lot of us, because of the shame that we're holding on to, because we're afraid to look at it and touch it, we block off our hearts and our souls.
Yeah,
So
exactly,
that's where we exist.
exactly.
This isn't us.
Yeah,
The us
yeah,
is this
yeah,
energy that
yeah,
is housed within this body.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The
So,
weight of shame is suffocation of the soul.
yes, it is. Oh my gosh, is it ever?
Yeah,
It is.
yeah,
And you can remove and you can say that, well, okay, I'm addressing it, I'm releasing my shame. But for survivors, for many, 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 but not just survivors, but for many people, we the simplest thing about even just telling a lie, that, you know what, you stole a pack of gum when you were a kid. And if you felt ashamed for that, and you haven't really
That's
taken
really,
care of that, it is going to impact you in ways
oh
that
yeah.
you cannot
Oh yeah,
imagine.
oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. We need to clear our conscience because you won't be able to really breathe and live because you always have that anchor on you. And this is the magic of impeccability. Once you start living impeccably, you're always doing what is in accordance to your conscience, what you feel is right. And you
Yeah.
don't have any of those problems anymore. None. They all go away. All of them. All of
Shame
them.
tells
Every
you that
single
you're
one.
not a good person. That's
Exactly.
what shame tells you. It says that you're not good. When you start to release shame and see it for what it is, that it's nothing but a
Exactly.
burden that you don't
Exactly.
need to carry,
Right.
then
Right.
it, as it dissipates, then you start to find
Yeah.
your worth and your goodness.
Yeah. And on that question of inner dialogue, we did this through shifting the inner personal self conception.
Oh
This
gosh,
is
yes, that was
huge.
a
This is
huge
huge. I mean,
exercise.
Lotus Warrior, Dandelion, and all of the other, there was quite a few of them. But, I remember Lotus Warrior especially. We came up, you were talking. I said, well, you know what, Ch? That's Lotus Logic. You're a Lotus Warrior. And it's like, bam, 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 bam. Yes, yes. And you embraced that. You went into it. You really grew that from yourself. You didn't grow into it. You grabbed it and grew it more. And that shift of inner conception, that shifted in the change of behavior. Like you said, you feel differently about yourself, your own conception, your body. And this, Bina was talking about this earlier. We know we get real change when it's inside, when you feel it about yourself, your body, your innerness. This is a very, very, very big deal. It starts with that shift of the self-conception. You can't just relabel yourself. You have to
No.
build it and own it and self-prove it, right? Sure. You have to
Yes.
prove to yourself that you are different, that you're changing, that you are for real, that you have integrity, you have impeccability, you have sensibility, you have sobriety, all the other things we went through. You worked
Oh
on
my
those things,
gosh.
you owned them, grabbed them, shifted, leveraged, perspective shifted, owned, discussed it. Very important. One
Yes.
quick point before you read the next letter. In terms of the journaling and writing it down, we spoke about voice. So part of way of impeccability, you take your notes, which is a journaling of the journey basically that you're going through and the
Hmm.
program. But then you come on Zoom like we are now, and you share your notes, you talk about it, and we discuss it. That verbal sharing of your journaling, in other words, is very, very, very powerful. So if you
Yes, it
if you're
is.
in a situation where you can only do the journaling on your own, I'd recommend writing it down and then reading it to yourself out loud.
That is key. Or record it. Read it or record it. Do whatever so that you
Exactly.
are
But do
speaking it
both
out
if
and
you can.
hearing it.
Exactly. Exactly. So that you can not only practice your expression, and that's the first time you read it out loud, but the second
Hmm.
time, now you get a little smoother. And now you're reading it again and you listening to yourself. Share yourself. Very,
Yes.
very, very powerful, very subtle, but very powerful for changing, leveraging, shifting your perspective, understanding yourself, connecting to yourself, and really connecting to that moreness that's you start to realize, oh, there's more to me. There's more to me. When we say there's always more, we don't just mean it in life in general. We mean it
Right.
to you. Right, sure. If you were to say in our journey together through Wave Impeccability, it was a journey of discovering and connecting to Sher's moreness, right?
Yes.
Not just new mourners, but pre-existing mourners. And I know I can say this for Sue and Donna and Bina and Robin and everybody else, that it is discovering your pre-existing mourners. It was always there in you. Yes, we learn more, but also we connect and kind of almost it's like a remembering of your pre-existing mourners that was always there. Right from that very, very first story that you read us, the first part of the book, right? We can
Uh-huh.
see and hear and feel your moreness. Yes. And that's
Yes.
the magic. It was always there. We just have to connect to it. That's the journey. That's the journey. It's an incredible journey. Really beautiful. All right.
What
Next
I'm
letter.
going to
I'm
read
getting
to
excited.
you, you just gave a perfect segue to not a letter, but this is more towards the back of the book, and this is about
Ah,
intent. Okay,
ah,
so
brilliant,
this is
brilliant.
perfect, actually. The quote is it takes compassion and understanding to appreciate what we see inside of us. So let me read this to you. Maybe the right questions or going through my timeline will show me specific points of my rise, like the lotus that pushes through the murky, muddy waters to unfold and stand tall in the sunlight each morning. It started slow, but then after a few weeks, the shedding of layer after layer of old patterns began, and as each layer fell away, I felt better. I knew this change would take time and work, but I was choosing this change. I decided to take back my life, my power. There would be the moment of meeting my false self and telling her it was time to leave. My mind was set to start living with purpose. There is a story that came to me one morning as I was taking an inventory of my life, my journey, and how fast my life was becoming unbound. This is that story. It's called Own Your Worth. Evening would come soon. Sun was feeling more relaxed, exerting less energy, as is customary this time of day. Moon began barely showing a hint of soft white light. Activity in the great pond, slow and melodic, the way an orchestra begins to warm up before a grand opus. Dandelion, off in the short grasses, had been particularly observant and grew agitated throughout the day. Watching from a distance, Dandelion allowed feelings of doubt to flow through the bright yellow petals all day. No one mentioned it. No one asked what was causing the low vibration. Typical. I'm insignificant, Dandelion noted at one point. Humans come and sit to admire lotus love, filled with desire to own it for themselves. They admire and fawn over Iris and all the other great creatures of the pond, Deanne thought while sulking. Dandelion broke into the activity of preparing for Moon to lead the orchestration of the evening opus by abruptly asking, "Why do I choose to survive? What is so special about Lotus Love and all the others? I am worthy of more." Pause. All preparation stopped suddenly, leaving an opening for Dandelion to continue. Lotus Love thought, "Incredible! Deanne is ready." Historically, the family of Dandelion would only submit to the routine of life and death without once claiming their value. They are, without question, one of the most significant of the Great Pond's flora. An affirmation of worth. Incredible, Lotus Love proclaimed to all in the Great Pond. For dramatic impact, Lotus Love paused a moment before answering. Deliberately choosing the response, Lotus replied, "I have seen you in a lower vibration today, but made the choice to ignore it. You need to be able to ask that question for yourself. It is time you acknowledge and own your worth." Dandelion quipped back rapidly, "Need to ask? Why do I need to ask? Why am I ignored? You are seen all day. Humans come to you all day, observe you, paint your portrait, pray over you, and bless you. All desire to own you. Iris stands tall above the others, dancing with the wind when it comes to Great Pond. Lovers come to absorb your essence, Lotus Love. Every creature in the Great Pond pleases so many and serves those who visit us. I am stepped on, plucked, and cursed. Look how Reed makes a special barrier for you. Iris has a community of their own. I am here, away from most of you, alone, to fend for myself and abused. Did you know my family had been nearly wiped out from all human dwellings?" Again, deliberately choosing the right words, Lotus Love spoke. "You needed to ask because you have ignored your value. You allowed your doubt to lead you to the awareness of your worth. Now it's time for you to openly acknowledge your own love. You are of great importance and significance in the plan of the Great Pond." Dandelion was beginning to fold the soft petals inward, feeling unheard. Lotus Love spoke softly. "Deanne, it is not of harshness or lack of care I speak to you in this way. It is time for you to recognize, appreciate, and own your value. You don't want to be treated in this way any longer, correct? No, I do not. I am worthy of love and respect, Dandelion replied adamantly. Then state your value, Lotus Love said with finality. Dandelion paused and thought a moment. Pausing and folding the soft yellow petals, she began to speak. I am not common. I am unique. I can give hope and bring magic to those who place their wishes with me to carry them to the great universe. I am persistent. I am magic. I am choice. I am free. I am determined. I am playful. I am wise. I am discernment. I am willing. I am trust. I am adventure. I am creator. I am happy. I am present. I am intent. I am deliberate. I am energy. I am sensible. I am singular. I am love. I am more. All who could hear were quiet. Moon was beaming and dropped its soft full light directly on Dandelion. Lotus Love spoke. You did not say you were a survivor. That is because you know you are more than a survivor. You are all you said and so much more. You can transform. You are a creator. You transform life through hope. You are medicine for those who know this magic. You flourish. And each time you are cut down, you come back stronger. You have one root that is strong, and you bloom into a flower of which every part of you is love. You sustain your future with the ability to share all this without thought. Love is the more. Lotus Love paused and quietly spoke. Do you know what your source of life is? Self-validation. The great pond relies on self and the self-validation that we are all you spoke of for yourself and more. If that love vanishes, we perish. Therefore, we ignored you today. We see the moreness and know it is something we cannot possess because it is yours to own and accept. Do you believe what you spoke of, your being? I do, said Dandelion. I am significant. She looked out across the field toward all in the great pond with love and appreciation. One final time before folding in and preparing the magic that was Deanne's alone to own. I am more than significant. I am love. Set your intent. Okay, that's the end of that story.
Ah, cool, 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 cool. Magic, 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 magic. I just love them.
Beautiful,
Brilliant,
Sher.
brilliant.
Beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome. In all honesty, that story and many people aren't going to know it. Hopefully, they'll absorb it for themselves. But that story was written in. It was a journal post for me because I was really frustrated about how I was feeling. I was feeling unheard and unseen. And I think that there was a point in time that Phil and I had even talked about it. And I don't remember if you were there or not, Bina, but feeling unheard and feeling not seen. And that was when Sil was trying to impart to me in the way of impeccability about owning our moreness and about
Yes.
seeing all that we're worth.
Yes, you
Um,
are. Yes,
that
you
was,
are.
if I remember, that was quite a few long 3 or 4 weeks.
Yes, that was huge. Was huge. Was huge. Was huge. But I want to emphasize, that all I did was simply facilitate you learning by yourself. I
Yes.
just provided some tools. You did all the work. You did all the learning. You did all the growing. I'm just a facilitator, truly. I make the obvious obvious. That's my skill. Okay, I'm really, really good at making the obvious obvious, and I may, condense and rephrase things. Okay, I do a few things, but really, the essence is you. The essence is you. I was making the point in comments because somebody mentioned it about self healing. What does a doctor do? When they give you medicine, it's to encourage and activate the body to really get the body to heal itself. All right. Sometimes the body's lacking a bit of vitamins or minerals or whatever it is. It's lacking something that it needs in order to do the healing.
Right.
Fine. Sometimes that, but those are the tools. Those are the tools. So the
Yes.
whole point is you acquire this phenomenal magical toolbox, and it really is a magical toolbox, right? Of
Yes.
all of the things that you used, in your dictionary of power and so on, that you
Say, a
use to
dictionary of
heal
power
yourself
is
with.
huge. I use that
Right.
religiously. Yes, it's referred to daily, and it gets added to still. So
And
yeah,
whose dictionary of power is it?
mine.
And Sher's dictionary of power. Thank you very much. Exactly. You see how
I
quickly
own
Sher
it.
owned that.
Yes.
Again, we emphasize that. But this is big. It's a big deal. It's you. It's your stuff. You own it. When you use these power terms, they're yours. They're yours, yours, yours. Doesn't matter if I use the same one. When I use it, it's mine. When Bina uses it, it's hers. When Erica Jane uses it, it's hers. Donna, Sue, all of them. When they use it, it's theirs. And this
Yeah,
is the key deal. You learn by yourself. Don't be
and that
thinking you're
is.
going to be
I
learning
think that
from others. Yeah.
I think in many ways too. That's what separates my. Yes, I might not. I might. I do follow along and have a lot of the similar beliefs of other people and other coaches and self healers, that kind of thing. However, my language and my way of speaking is mine. I mean, I learned to own that. I refused from the get go to copy, I guess, what others people do say. I just didn't want to regurgitate because it wasn't me. So I don't know if Carrie is still on there or not. I can't really see the chats, but
Yeah, yeah, she is. She
okay.
is. She's
I
still
just wanted
listening.
to know if that story at all resonated with her and if it helped answer some of her questions.
Oh, I'm keen to hear that too.
Okay. Um,
We have to give it a bit of a lag because there's a bit of lag.
okay. All right. Um, well, while we get that, I do. I'm gonna take the time to read one last letter because I know we're
Brilliant,
pushing time.
brilliant, brilliant.
This one is to my mom, and
Mm,
she's my bio mom, but she's no longer with us.
mm.
So, anyways, here we go. Mom, the stories played in my mind for most of my life about the day we left. Maybe you were too heartbroken to look at me. Were you embarrassed because you made a mistake? It's okay, Mom. I know about making mistakes. It never occurred to me to tell you that you should be ashamed of yourself like you always told me to be. I listened to you, Mom, and became ashamed of myself, just like you said. You made a mistake, Mom, and I knew you did. I wasn't angry at you, and I was never ashamed of you. I didn't tell anyone about you and that man because of anger. I told my babysitter and asked her to help me understand because I was feeling confused about why you loved that man more than me. I never told you about what Dad was doing to me because he told me not to, and you never seemed to mind what he was doing. You didn't seem to be upset when you curled my hair, put makeup on me, dressed me up like a grown up lady so you and Dad could introduce me to strange men. Wasn't that telling the truth or was that a lie? The whole what is a lie and what is truth concept is terribly confusing to me. Maybe that day we left, you were angry at me for leaving you and broke the dishes you were washing on purpose when I said goodbye. Did you think I abandoned you or that I rejected you for leaving with Dad? Anger was never a part of it, Mom. Only my perception of feeling rejected carried for the rest of my life. I tried to get your attention and tell you I wanted to stay with you, but maybe the protests weren't loud or clear enough. My mind often trails off to a moment of fantasy, imagining that after we left, you fell to the floor in dramatic waves of sobs, chest heaving while you tried to scream. Maybe you know that feeling? The scream that's stuck inside and won't come out, like the one Munch painted, the scream. Even writing this to you, my imagination leads me to a scene of me curled into a ball on the floor, rocking and crying, releasing this pain. Maybe you fell into the arms of your lover and cried on his shoulder for how you treated me. I understand that image now as a grown woman, except there is no lover whose safe chest and arms I can fall into. I have my thoughts in a pillow to cry into. I told the truth and lost both you and Dad. But then, perhaps you really meant every word you said. Maybe I needed to be ashamed of myself. Maybe I wasn't good enough to be your daughter. You were thin, a real beauty queen. Thin, petite, but with big, mean words. I was chubby, uncertain, wet my pants, afraid, and maybe I didn't deserve you as my mother. After all, I ate one Oreo too many. I didn't like pink ice cream. You became angry at me for telling you I didn't want to go with a man to Sunday school anymore. Then more upset when I asked you why you weren't coming with me. Odd, there is no memory of ever arriving at Sunday school. My words were not well received when my feelings about that man or him buying me pink peppermint ice cream were shared with you. My mere existence seemed to bring you anger. You were standing in the kitchen in the small trailer home. Like always, you had your back turned to me and your hands were moving mechanically. Pick up the dish, wipe it, one side, then the other, put it in the sink of clear water, then the next dish. Every now and then you would look up in the window in front of you above the sink. You would not turn around to look at me, speaking at you. Wash, rinse, repeat. Do you know that there is no memory in my mind of you ever smiling or crying? My strongest memory of you is from behind you. Was I ugly, Mom? Were you ashamed of me? Was I annoying when I spoke to you? Did I ask too many questions or have an ugly voice? I took care of baby sis and tried to wash my sheets like you told me. I cleaned her diapers in the toilet water just like you said. I even found your jade earring that baby sister swallowed once and dug it out of her diaper before I rinsed it, just like you told me to. My heart aches. I have so few memories left of you. What color were your eyes? I can close my eyes and see your hair, the profile of you driving and smoking Pall Mall cigarettes in your red Mustang. But I don't remember what color your eyes were. What color lipstick was that you wore all the time? Did you wear a fragrance? Most people know what fragrance their mother wore, and it brings back warm memories. A fond memory of you was watching you fix your hair into the fancy French twist you wore. Your long and straight auburn tresses. You would wrap and pin them and use what seemed like enough hairspray to fill the bathroom. Watching you move around the house while you cooked or cleaned is one of the memories I recall with fondness. Until the ones come up where you told me that I could do a better job at whatever it was you were correcting me for. I wanted to be like you when I grew up. I loved you, Mother, more than you ever knew. What's missing are the memories of you interacting with Dad, friends, or neighbors. They aren't there. That doesn't matter. I only wanted you to look at me. I did a lot of silly things to get you to see me. Sing, create dances, jokes, but you never laughed with me. You didn't play with me. We barely spoke. I only wanted you to pay a little attention to me, other than spanking me or telling to clean something up. Sitting at the kitchen table by another window, my chatter was directed to you while I was fidgeting with something on the table. My hands were always busy because I always felt nervous in your presence. Wanting nothing more than to have you look at me was a feeling I can never let go of. As always, you were standing with your back to me and kept washing dishes as though your daughter were invisible. Your anger filled the room with so much heaviness. Feeling that there was something awful I had done was exacerbated by your silence. Were you going to spank me again? Would you tell me what a bad girl I was and how ashamed of myself I needed to be? Why wouldn't you talk to me? Dad broke my one-sided idle chatter with myself by saying it was time to go. Rising slowly from the table, I remembered to push my chair in. It was proper to always push our chairs in when we left the table. Walk quietly, don't plod. Cows plod, ladies glide. I remembered to walk like you told me to. In my best effort, with all the determination and courage in me, I did something I never did before. I breached the barrier you told me never to cross because I desperately needed you to hug me. I needed you to tell me you were sorry, and I wanted to tell you I was sorry for telling the truth. I needed my mom to love me. My words were in my throat, holding back the tears welling up inside of me, ready to burst out. When my hand reached up to tap your arm, you flinched as if you were burned by my touch. That startled me and made me stand in my place. I didn't touch you again. Mommy, I love you. Can I have a hug? It felt like an eternity before you spoke. You continued washing the dishes. Wash, rinse, repeat. Never looking at me. I held my arms up in vain for what seemed like an eternity, just wishing with all my being that you would hug me, look at me, love me. You spoke into the dirty dishwasher. Into the dishes you said, I hate you. I never want to see you again. I wonder, were you speaking to the dishes or to Dad? You didn't mean that, Mommy, right? Okay, end of that letter. Mm.
Oh wow! Oh wow! Funny, it just wow. I was like, oh, just kind of left me there in the middle of nowhere. Wow!
I'm
Wow! Wow!
sorry.
Wow! No, no, it's powerful. It's powerful stuff. You know? It's powerful stuff. It just blows my mind how people can be sometimes. It just blows my mind. Blows my
Yeah.
mind.
I don't know what time it is, so
Yeah. We got to wrap it up. So it's all good. We're borrowing a little bit of time from the participants coming in this slot, but it's okay.
that's
They're happy
okay.
to
All
share.
right.
It's all right. It's all right. We're happy to borrow time from each other.
The
It's a
I guess I just want to
journey.
wrap
This
it up with
journey is amazing. Yeah.
I was going to say, I just want to wrap it up with saying that there is a definite power to um, writing those letters, writing any of the letters that you need to write to yourself, to the people that you feel have left you, with deep wounds to your
Yeah.
soul or even to your body. Um, and they actually do that with um, rape victims many, many times
Yeah.
is, they have that moment, or any victim, they have that moment in court where they're actually able to write and read a letter to the perpetrator. And it's because there is a powerful healing point to it. And even though a story to myself, a letter to myself or to my mother or even to my father, which I did not write him one. And I still find that really curious. I have not written him one yet.
Wow.
Yeah, that's going to have to be something that I do one day.
In time, all in good time,
Um,
as appropriate, right? As
yeah,
appropriate.
but you can go back and reread those letters and you can still continue to write them with future thoughts.
Yeah.
Sure. I have a
Yeah.
question.
Yes.
Just to learn more about this, because I know you from a very big, like more than a year now. But in this whole process, because it happens with everyone, we stumble, we fall, we get up again, and then we start it again, and then in this whole process. But the one thing I feel that in any healing process, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that the self-honesty, this is something we cannot just leave for once even.
Right.
Like we can fall, and okay, our trust, our self-trust can shatter so many times, and we can rise again. But if we lose that self-honesty, I think that this process cannot be in the process the way it was before, because that only thing I saw in you is more and more and more self-honesty.
Yes.
You never lose that. You might lose trust so many times. You might lose your confidence, and I saw that it happens, and oh no, it's going back again. But the self-honesty was always there. So can you say that in healing, that the
Yes.
crucial, that like you cannot do anything without self-honesty?
Okay. I didn't hear the last part. It kind of cut out on my end.
Okay. I was just asking you that. Can you say that yes, we can leave things, and we can fall, and we can get back to, but the self honesty is something we can never leave if we really want to heal that.
That's true. That is
Because
okay.
I never saw you out of this. I saw you a bit. No, it's going back and overwhelmed and all that, but I never saw you dishonest to yourself.
Thank you. And I don't think that I ever have been. I just didn't know how to tap into that. I mean, remember, I really struggled with telling myself that I was a good person and believing that.
Yes.
And I think
Yes.
deep down inside, I knew I was, because otherwise I would have been successful in my suicide attempt if I didn't believe that there was something valuable to me to keep trying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes, you are. And this is something really amazing for me, because I saw a lot of ups and downs in this journey. I saw
Yes.
that okay, it's happening. But the one thing is continuously constant, firm, solid, concrete, self-honesty.
Yes.
If I'm falling, I know I'm falling. If I'm rising up again, yes, I'm doing this.
Yes.
This is really amazing about this.
But that is the one constant, the one steady that keeps us going, I think, through this. On our journeys, they are going to go up and down. Remember how we talked about that it's not linear at all.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
we are going to have a whole lot of, like, yesterday was a huge mountain for me. I was standing on top of it. And today, today I'm kind of just looking at the view from the top. I don't know
Yes,
what tomorrow will bring. Tomorrow might be, going downhill again. Who knows? But the important part is staying consistent with our truth and with that self-honesty. That's the key.
exactly.
Yeah.
And you are. And you are.
Persistence, capital P, persistence.
Capital P, persistence. Yes.
And
Yes.
one thing you do know, no matter whether you're up or down, one thing you do know is there's always
Persistence.
more. Always
Exactly.
more. As long as you persist, that's the
Sure.
key. That's how you get to that more, through persistence. Say
Yes.
again, Bina?
Exactly.
There is more to share. Yes.
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 Like,
Please,
There is.
before we go quickly, anybody else here have any questions or any comments, anything they want to share? Please. Anybody?
No.
Come on, somebody share something, even if it's to say no.
This is Jennifer. I just want to say, Cher, that I am so honored that you read your words with us today. And it was just an incredible moment for me. And I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you. I'm so glad you got to come today. I really am.
Yeah. How we do.
Yeah, as you know, I mean, our inner child healing is really, it's usually it's an intense journey. And it is a big part of changing our habits one of those habits that I'm really focused on changing is how I see myself. So by you being here and by bringing up the one point of that, I have remained consistent and persistent in pursuing self-honesty. You know, that is, that's a big, that is a big validation.
Yes.
It's a big, and if I take that for what it's worth, it's a huge self-validation. Yes.
Yes. And that's something that we insisted on. You're not going to get anywhere if you're not going to be self-honest. Forget about it. You may be honest. You may even think of yourself, and you may be genuinely honest. Doesn't mean you're self-honest. I often see the difference.
And self-honesty also includes looking at the awful truths.
Hey, thank you. You have to face it and then deal with it. And then you do what Sher did. When you face it and you deal it, you take that awful truth and you turn it into the awesome truth.
But also your existing awesome truth.
Exactly. Exactly. Sometimes we struggle to face our own pre-existing awesome truths. Because
Yes.
That's
to
true.
acknowledge that it's a responsibility on us. So we don't always want to own up to those and face them. It's peculiar. We can be a little crazy, all of us.
Yeah. You know, it just still amazes me. All these years later, I'm 60. And I'm you know, it's one of those truths about me though. I mean, it is that still thinking about that moment in the kitchen with my mom can still be so emotional.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you think and think and think, and it's like, God, you know, I should be past this by now. Well, what I'm discovering is that is a myth. There is no should be. You know, it'll probably stay with me because it's one of those internal wounds that you can allow to sit and fester, you know, and make your life miserable, or you can face it and still acknowledge that, yep, you know what, I still have emotions about it, and it's okay.
That's right.
Or
Emotions
maybe you are still,
Acknowledge the
maybe you are
scar.
still, yes, instead of saying wounds only, you are still getting value out of this.
yes.
Sure.
Exactly.
Because there is something more in that. You are learning about yourself.
Exactly.
You are still there.
Exactly. Value
That's a good
and
point.
usefulness doesn't always come in the way we think it does. Because good isn't always nice.
That's true.
You get good out of it. Not always nice, but you get good
Yes.
out of it. And your whole story is a story of getting good, but not necessarily nice. Yes?
Right.
Yeah. It's very
Yes.
powerful to understand that. You, for whatever reason, chose to learn in a really difficult way, and I salute you for it. It's really incredible. I'd like to say something in appreciation of Sher, and not just you only, Sher, but also others who've gone through a similar journey. What truly fascinates me, and I remember that when we were on Zoom together, and there were a bunch of you. I remember one particular time you guys were literally showing your scars, abuse scars, and it struck me listening to all of you sharing these stories of horror, real horror, and blew my mind. And not a single one of you were resentful and had hatred in your souls. You didn't resent the world and hate people and be just negative and bitter. None of that. None of that. You retained your goodness. And I remember commenting still at the time. I said, my goodness, if this does not prove to you beyond a shadow of a doubt that you are a good soul to your very, very root and marrow, then nothing will. So please know this, that you are a good person. Unquestionably. Unquestionably. There's no doubt. No doubt. If you don't know it, then you just, sorry, all this proof. It's like
Every single
smacking
one
you
of
in the
us.
head. You're a good person. You're a good person. You're a good person. Get it already. Get it already. Your goodness doesn't come from outside. It's not going to come from your mother loving you, from your father loving you, or anybody. It comes from you and you alone. Yes?
Or from
Sir?
any awards that you got as a kid or didn't get or any of that. No, that's not
Exactly.
what,
Comes
no.
from you. Comes from you. Comes from
The
you.
heart.
And if you look back at your story through this lens of seeing it as being this phenomenal demonstration to yourself that you are good because you're not bitter, you're not full of hatred, you're not negative. And even if you are, there's a part of you that is looking, that goodness that's looking to survive and come out. It's that lotus that's looking to come out of the muck.
Exactly.
Right?
The lotus
So
coming
this
out
is
of the
something
muck.
to understand. I mean, I understand there are people who get caught up in the hatred and the negativity. But if you really pay attention, you'll see they are looking to come out of that muck and become lotus, like you,
Yes.
like you, like you.
Yes, CJ's trying it on his own. He's really trying hard to push through the muck.
There you
So
go. Phenomenal, phenomenal,
he is.
phenomenal, phenomenal.
He is.
All right, we better go.
Thank you so much for today.
Oh, thank you, Sher. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, just
Okay.
phenomenal. That's
Thank
right.
you.
And Carrie Sue said yes, she did get her question answers and she got a lot out of it. So
Good. I'm glad.
Ryan says that's why everyone says I'm not nice because he's good. You are very, very good for people and good for yourself and good to yourself, and you need to be good for yourself. Yes, Ryan. Yes, yes, yes. Absolutely. And you are nice too. Bloody hell. All right, not always, but mostly. Brilliant.
All right.
All right. All right.
Okay. Well,
Fantastic.
thank you again, and I
See you next-
appreciate everybody for
Are we
being
gonna do
here.
next week,
So-
Sher? We can do some more next
Yeah,
week.
yeah.
Okay.
I will actually. I think I'll probably read
Okay.
something out of not a lighter chapter, but none of them are light. I will tell you that. The only
Yeah.
one that's
It
really
is what
light.
it is. It is what it is. You know,
It's
there's a
a
power
journey.
here, and we'll just go through it. We treat it for what it is, and we'll extract the
Yes.
power. That's
Okay.
our power is extracting the power,
Yes.
extracting the more. Yes.
Yeah, and I will say anybody is more than welcome to, always message me if you have questions or, like while you're reading the book, if you get struck by a thought or something, or if you just in general need to reach out and have somebody hold space for you.
Yeah,
I'm here
yeah,
for you. So
yeah. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant.
Okay.
All right,
Okay.
fantastic. Okay,
Bye.
bye.
Bye for now.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thank you for being here. Yes, thank you.
Yes.
It's
Bye-bye.
really cool. Bye-bye.
Bye.